Thanks a lot for the introduction. As the title of the panel states, and it's a very interesting bridge between the first panel and this one, because in the first panel you could hear that we should maybe worry about how the AI will impact the labor market, and maybe many of us will lose the job or we will have to reskill. So that's why the second topic actually is more oriented on the side of how can AI help people to better find a job, easier, faster, and how can help us to find the right skills and find the right path for our skills. So let me start with introducing my distinguished panelists. And I will start, we have one panelist who is connected online, so I will keep it in the order which I have in my preparation, though there is no any special reason for it. So we have Dimitrios PIKIOS, team leader of Europass from the European Commission, who is online. So I hope, Dimitrios, you can hear as well. Then we have my colleague Lars Lehmann, who is a EURES portal business manager at European Labour Authority. Stefan Gran, senior advisor from ETUC. Robert Plummer, senior advisor from BusinessEurope. And still two more. Matias VAINIO, project director from KEHA Center, Finland. And last but not least, Maria Cristina MAURIZIO from IMT School for Advanced Studies, Lucca from Italy. So welcome all. So we have a very nice mix of expertise and skills in this panel, so it should be quite interesting. So we would like to start from giving you a bit of insight into what actually are problems on the European labor market, and why AI is really maybe needed here. And I would briefly say very few words that this is, of course, one of the mandates of ELA, especially through the EURES mandate. We are looking on helping effective job matching, and helping also working with public employment services in helping people to find jobs also cross-border. So this topic of job matching is very close to our heart, and of course Lars will speak more about that. And as part of this work, ELA is also monitoring labor shortages and surpluses. And from the work ELA is doing, also from the work European Commission is doing, it's clear that shortages are everywhere, north, south, east, west, in all type of jobs, from high skills to lower skills. So the topic of job matching is very relevant for all of us and for all member states. So with this, I will go straight into the first question to our panelists, starting with Robert. So could you please tell us how do employers see the situation on the European labor market, and what are their main concerns?
Thank you very much, Slavko, and good afternoon now, just about, to everyone. It's very nice to be here in Madrid. Yes, from our perspective as BusinessEurope, which is one of the cross-industry European employers organizations at the European level, labour and skill shortages, you mentioned it in your introduction just there. This is really one of the key challenges that we see at the moment in the social policy area, one of the key areas that we're working on in terms of trying to improve the functioning of our labour markets across Europe. I think the factors behind labour and skill shortages are quite well known, but just to briefly mention, one of them is very much the demographic change, the ageing of our workforce. We have around 1 million workers retiring each year at the moment. We also have very high inactivity rates, around 74 million working age people are inactive. It's not the unemployed, it's really the inactive ones, so beyond the unemployed, if you like. And we also still have problems of skills mismatching. This is a structural issue that we've seen in our labour markets for a number of years now, and it's something that still is persisting and that we need to address. We've looked in Business Europe when we think about the specific skills that are in demand. We've looked with our member companies, some of them actually spoke here in the first panel this morning, about what are the most in-demand skills that companies have, and digital skills and STEM skills, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, are always the most in-demand and prominent elements, and we'll come on to some of the AI-related aspects on that in a bit. At the same time, we also saw from the first panel this morning, we talk about upskilling, reskilling, and indeed there is a very high commitment and level of engagement from employers to invest in upskilling and reskilling of the workforce to try to address some of the challenges that we see around skills mismatches. And it's an ELA conference, so we have to talk about mobility. Of course, mobility, we also think can play a role in helping to address labour and skill shortages through cross-border matching. And we also saw from the survey that we conducted with our member companies that employers are increasingly willing to look at the role of not only mobility, but actually also third country migration in terms of how we can look to address the shortages that we see. So there's not just one answer, it's a complementary approach across different policy fields: employment, education, migration, mobility, and this is how we think we can address the shortages that we have. Last word would be that we know the European Commission is coming forward with an EU action plan on labour and skill shortages next month, so it should be next month, and we hope that those various elements indeed across different departments of the Commission, different policy fields, will be enshrined in that approach, and that's something that we can then really take forward and try to address the challenges that we see on employers.
Thank you very much, Robert. And now I'll turn to Stefan. If you could give us the perspective from the side of unions, what are the main concerns there about the reasons behind the labor shortages, other aspects?
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm also happy to be here at this distinguished conference. I think in many assessments, maybe we're not so far away from each other if it comes to why there are labor shortages. Maybe in one we are. We see, of course, especially in special occupations, it's more the question about job quality, question about pay. I mean, if you talk about, all in COVID, we had the question about nurses, medical personnel. You have it in other occupations as well. There, of course, labor mobility can play a role, but we don't think it's solving the problem, because at the moment what we see is just, let's say, it doesn't help if you get rid of your labor shortages in Germany, if you're hiring the nurses from Poland, Hungary, and Romania, and then just creating their labor shortage. But they're then going even faster, more to the east to find staff who maybe then willing to accept the low job quality. So I think there is the problem about if there is a labor shortage in certain occupations, it might be also something to do with the quality and of the jobs, and that is of course something that has to be solved. There is of course a question about training on skills. Although this is nothing really new, to be honest. As I started my professional career, it's now some years ago already, and starting then I was joining the union, it was always even that discussion. That is meanwhile more than 20-25 years ago. So we had discussions always, and we always, as a trade union movement, we always have one, of course, solution: training on the job, and not only narrow training on the skills that is just needed now in the job, also with a broader perspective of transversal skills that can be also easily then maybe used in the future, but maybe not now to increase the productivity. So that is indeed something that has to be invested, and we see there may be in certain sectors simply some shortages that there hasn't been invested enough, especially if it comes to digital skills. And let me very quick take the advantage when I'm speaking to just go back to the last panel, because I wanted to say at least one sentence as we spoke about protection of workers' rights and AI. I think because there's always a very optimistic view here in the room about the opportunities which are there, no question about their opportunities, big opportunities to increase productivity and maybe even making work easier for people. However, what we have seen as trade unions in history always, if there is a technology that you can use to abuse workers, that you can use to, let's say, circumvent labor regulations, you will use it, and it will be used. And that's why we always ask for regulation here in the place. And that you have to have always in mind, even the opportunities, but there are also huge risks, and then maybe we come later also a little bit more into detail.
No, thank you very much. We will spend some time on those risks and opportunities during the panel. So with these two perspectives we got from the employers and from the unions, the initial on the problem of labor shortages in Europe. Now let's move to existing solutions which are already in place or are being developed, which could be a small snapshot and inspiration of what actually AI can already do. And we would first cover two European solutions. So first and it's Dimitrios who is online. So probably many of you, of course, are quite familiar with ESCO classification, which is developed and maintained by the European Commission, and Europass tool. And then on the ELA side, of course, there is EURES as a tool for cross-border matching. So these are the two solutions which are already using or are planning to be using AI as a technology, helping to make them efficient and better and helping more people. So I will turn to Dimitrios. If you could briefly explain and tell the participants here at the conference what the ESCO and Europass tool offer, and how is the AI, as this is technological conference, how is the AI technology being used currently?
Yes, thank you, Slavka. I hope you can all hear me well.
We don't hear Dimitrios well in the room.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now yes.
Okay, thank you so much, and many thanks for the invitation to this very important event. And hello to everybody. So indeed, ESCO, as you said, is the classification of European occupations and skills, and aims at the transparency of skills and at bridging the labor market with the area of education and training as a commonly understood taxonomy. It has around 3,000 occupations and 14,000 skills and knowledge concepts, with different hierarchies also for the soft or transversal skills. It is available in 28 languages, meaning all EU languages plus Arabic, Icelandic, Norwegian, and Ukrainian, and it is machine readable, so that it can be used in algorithms for different use cases as open data, of course. So in ESCO overall, we have around 150 implementers of ESCO, meaning different platforms and projects that use ESCO when offering their services to their end users for different use cases, including skills-based job matching. So in ESCO, we use, how do we use AI in ESCO? We use data from job vacancies, CVs and profiles, qualifications and course descriptions, reports and surveys, mostly mapping text to ESCO concepts or groups. We use AI, first of all, for the ESCO maintenance in order to identify new relations between occupations and skills or knowledge concepts, and to identify new occupations that show up in the labor market, new skills and new knowledge concepts. We also use AI to link qualifications to ESCO skills, because this is very important for the bridging between the labor market and education and training. And through this to ESCO occupations, through the descriptions of learning outcomes of the qualifications, and we aspire to offer this as a service in Europass at some point. We also use AI in ESCO to add new categories of data or metadata to arrive at more of an ESCO knowledge graph. For example, further proficiency levels, or label green skills, or for a NACE mapping of ESCO occupations. We also use AI to support the EURES mapping for the quality assurance of national mappings. And finally, we employ AI to use data inputs of Europass users for the enrichment of ESCO. And when it comes to Eurobus, as you know, Eurobus is a framework aiming to add labor mobility and skills transparency. It is based on the 2018 Eurobus decision and the 2020 European Skills Agenda. The platform, the Eurobus platform, offers a number of tools and services. For example, the profile builder, a CV builder, a cover letter builder, a tool allowing job search with jobs coming from US, a tool allowing courses search with courses and qualifications coming from the member states, a section dedicated to the skills of the users, where users can identify their skills, a similar section for interests of users, a self-assessment tool for digital skills, where users can answer to questions and arrive, see the level of their digital skills. Another tool which was launched last year based on skills intelligence, the so-called job and skill trends tool, where users can see which jobs are most in demand in which countries and what are the skills related to them. And finally, the digital credentials, by which users can receive a digital and fraud-proof version of their diplomas from the education institutions where they obtained those diplomas. The Eurobus services and information are available in 31 languages, so we have very rich data. Eurobus is based on ESCO for occupations and skills. For example, the section where users can input their skills, identify their skills, it works with data coming from ESCO. The same for the skills intelligence tool of Eurobus, the job and skill trends tool. So what we do with AI in Eurobus? Based on all the previous work that we have done in ESCO, and following discussions with member states and stakeholders, we're now working to improve the tools and services of Eurobus, where its system will be able to better understand the individual profiles and personal needs of Eurobus users through the exchange and interaction of all its tools and their data. Some examples are the recommendations of courses based on the interests inserted by Eurobus users, combined with the skills they have identified in the system, so that we can have an identification of the delta, the difference between the users' current skills and the skills connected to their interests as they identify them in the system. All of this using ESCO. Or recommendations of courses based on work histories and the profiles of the users, combined with the skills that they have identified in the system. Again, an identification of a delta by using ESCO. Or courses recommended based on the results of the tests that they have done in Eurobus for their digital skills, or any other future tests for different kinds of skills, like green skills, soft skills, that we intend to develop in Eurobus. Another example is recommendations of job opportunities based on the skills that the users have identified in their profiles, because skills are always linked to occupations, and we have an account of this thanks to ESCO. Therefore, the system should be able to make suggestions based on the probability of someone being able to perform in given jobs. Also recommendations of job opportunities based on jobs that the user has applied for previously using the Eurobus system, or the countries or the jobs they have looked for in the job and skill trends tool. Thank you.
Okay, now thank you very much, Dimitrios. So then we have the European level, we have a common classification of skills, we can get a great CV. So let's go now into how to find a job. So, and I will turn to Lars now. So of course, Eurus portal, which I'm sure most of you know in this room, is currently going important changes, especially on the technological side, and aiming to achieve more efficient job matching. So Lars, could you please tell us how can AI be used here, and at what stage is the project, and what we can expect, how this will evolve?
Thank you very much, Slavka. I hope that you can hear me, that the mic works, and thank you very much for the invitation, being here in this excellent panel. Now, the EURES portal, as many of you will know, is the digital component of EURES, the European Employment Services. So for that, with the portal, we want to facilitate the network and to contribute to the implementation of the ORAS mandate. This is, let's say, the basics for that. Currently for the job matching, we do this in the portal. We have a job matching engine obviously already implemented. We have about 4 million job vacancies in the portal for the job matching and 1 million CVs. So this is the data which is already available. And now we are currently indeed at the stage where we want to implement artificial intelligence in order to improve the machine and in order to improve the results that we get for the European citizens and for our user community. So what we have in place is, since the end of last year, a dedicated strategy. We have the ORAS portal strategy that goes from 2023 to 2030. And this strategy includes actually a lot of requests for implementing artificial intelligence, not only for the purpose of the job matching engine, I come to that in a moment, but also in the other areas and in the other services that ORAS and the ORAS portal provides. Now, we are now in the starting phase of implementing the strategy, and that means that we are looking at concepts available and that could provide added value, so to say, for the job matching and for the machine in order to improve the results. What is very clear for us is when we look at those concepts, we have a human-centered approach. So the idea of us is not to implement technology for the purpose of implementing technology, but to bring added value to our customers, to the European citizens. Now, from the technology point of view, we are reviewing concepts. We are in the implementation phase at the moment. For the matching engine, we have a strong consideration for improvements on data and data handling. I think this is natural. This is a natural field where we believe that artificial intelligence can help us, because as you know, the matching process, the audio is probably gone. I will try this one. Okay. As I said, the matching process and the matching engine obviously lives and its success depends on the data available. So what we see here and what we want to use is in the future artificial intelligence in order that we do not get more data, but also better data. So this is one thing where we think artificial intelligence can help us in the future. Another concept that we are looking at is actually the matching engine lives of an algorithm. It lives of, let's say, of the engine inside that provides the matching. And also here we think that artificial intelligence could potentially help us in order to come to better results that again increase the user experience and the satisfaction with the job matching process. So this is one thing. I said that before. We have also some other areas in the portal which are related to our core mandate and that we want to support with artificial intelligence in the future. And we look here, for example, very much in the area of languages and translations. There are machine translations, concepts for your artificial intelligence available. That's one of the areas that we consider because language is an important and multilingualism is important for the portal. Another element is the information provision. Here we have already taken steps in the agency to develop a web information tool that should provide a more targeted user experience. So in a snapshot, this is what we do at the moment, and we look forward to the developments of the next years in order to really increase the added value here with artificial intelligence of the portal. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Lars. So with this implementation, of course, we all hope that cross-border mobility will be enhanced and easier and that it will really benefit the EU citizens. But of course, in addition to the cross-border mobility, we have the regular job matching at the country level. And there are, of course, some good solutions already in place supported by AI. So more specifically in Finland, there is already a solution for skills and job matching using AI. Matias, I know those who were at the workshop had a more detailed presentation yesterday, but for the other participants, could you please describe the main features of this solution, how it is being used, and how the AI supports the job matching at the national level?
Sure, thank you, and thank you for having me today in the panel discussion. So in Finland, we have created a service platform called Job Market Finland, and its aim is fast and high quality matching of jobs and job seekers. And we use AI solutions in the matching process. Our AI services are NLP-based services, so natural language processing tools, and they have been in full production for over 3 years now, so we have plenty of experience using the AI solutions. Our matching is competence-based, and we use ESCO classifications view skills and occupations in the matching process. And the platform is available in Finnish, Swedish, and English. If any of you is interested in about getting familiar with the Job Market Finland, please feel free to sign in and try out our profile tool and how the matching works at the Job Market Finland. So how the process actually goes: if you are a job seeker, you start creating a competence-based job seeking profile. And we use AI services to help a job seeker to identify and recognize the skills and competence one already has from one's previous history, from work experience, from education. As well as we help the employer when one is creating an open job posting to recognize the skills and what they need actually in that role that they are looking for. And when we have a competence-based job applicant profile and competence-based open job position, we do the matching, and we have actually 3 different kind of natural language processing tools which we use. We combine the skills and occupations selected by the job applicant in his profile or in one's profile, and also the skills and occupations selected by the employer in the job posting. But we also combine the free text, and we apply the NLP services to the free text part to get the perfect or as good as possible matching result by the AI. Now we have the matching done by the AI. We also use the structured matching like profession, education level, skills, working area, and we combine the AI-based matching and the structured matching to get the combined result. And then the job seeker gets the list of best suitable job positions for one, and the employer gets the list of best suitable job applicant profiles. And all the job applicant profiles the employer gets, they are anonymous. So it's truly competence-based. And then the employer can contact the applicant by the system, or via the system sending the mail, and the job applicant can apply for the job in a way described in the open job posting. And using ESCO makes it easier for us to start to import and export, for example, job postings. We have export to EURES portal about the job postings, and we have been piloting about importing job profiles from 2 other platforms to Job Market Finland. So we can share job postings and job applicant profiles between the platforms. I think many of you have several platforms in your country where they do the matching, and we need to get the benefits of all those platforms together. And that's the way we have approached the matching using the AI in Finland.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Matias, and I'm sure that during the lunch break or coffee break you might be approached for more details, because there was a technical workshop yesterday and it was really interesting how it works. So let's now move into the second example of a solution which for job and skills matching, which was proposed as part of a PhD project. And Maria Cristina will tell us more about it. And this is for implementation and for Italy, specifically for Tuscany and Piedmont region. The solution should include, to my understanding, also a recommendation system for job seekers for suggested occupation, and then also can help with other aspects. So Maria Cristina, could you also tell us about your proposal and where it stands in Italy? So are you being successful, and are they going to implement it?
Thank you very much, Slavka, and thank you for having me here. I'm very happy. The project that me and my supervisor, Professor Francesco Sarti, are starting at IMT in Lucca is to embed machine learning techniques and AI techniques in the Italian public employment system. Let me start before saying what IMT is. IMT is a school for advanced studies in Lucca, and it focuses on interdisciplinary researches, especially in the application of artificial intelligence models on various domains like health, cultural heritage, and of course economics and labor in this context. The project is made of two main parts. The first one, which is a little bit more far from our discussion, is about an investigation on whether these techniques can improve the unemployment profiling procedure, which at this day is not implementing big data techniques. But coming to the recommendation system, which is the second part of our project, we want to build a system able to suggest caseworker the occupation for which the individual has a higher probability to find a job. In this way, we aim at lessen the burden of a caseworker, which have usually a lot of people to take into consideration, and the idea is also to build an instrument able to include the individual preferences, because of course they are important, and also try to deal with the congestion effect coming from the algorithm. The idea is to, of course, build on past history of working history of the individual, but we are thinking also on including ESCO classification for the skills in a way to have a more in-depth analysis and a more in-depth observation able to train the algorithm on. In the end, we plan to perform a randomized control trial to evaluate the effectiveness of our model, because as I was saying, I think Lars before, we do not want to implement the techniques just for the flavor of having something new. We want it to be helpful, so we want to evaluate that, and hopefully it will help. Lastly, I want to come back to on the fact of the region we are considered, which are Tuscany and Piedmont, as you said. In fact, in Italy, the management of the public employment system is at regional level. That's why we secured data coming from these regions. And the idea is also to delve into the possible regional differences. To overcome privacy issues, we are also intending to use federated learning techniques to overcome, as I said, this problem. And on that, we are also going to hold a seminar in our institution, because these techniques are still scarcely used in economics, but we will like to know more, because to use something, you need to know all the pros and the cons, and privacy is a big issue when you are dealing with people, and we are thinking about that.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and I'm sure also Dimitrios is happy to hear in both cases that the ESCO classification is being used also at the national level, so that also shows that all these initiatives at the European and national can nicely work together. And now we would like to move to the second or third, effectively part of this panel discussion, as it was already mentioned by Stefan briefly, of course, and by the first panel. We know that these AI-based solutions, they have a lot of advantages and a lot of opportunities, but there are also some risks related to them. And that would be the main topic of this part of the discussion. And I would like to do it the way that there are basically 4 broad questions, and each panelist can take the perspective which is the best fitting based on their experience and the solutions being implemented. So those broad questions, and I can remind them later, is so where do you see the main opportunities and risks of using AI technology for job matching based on your specific experience and broadly based on your expertise? Then what are then the main limitations you see there, and for the benefit of our audience today, again, where restrictions or main obstacles might be, either in the implementation or launching and scaling these solutions. Then do you believe that AI can help to increase labor mobility inside member states across the borders? Do you think that it can really make a difference? If any of you would like to maybe Robert or others react to that part. And then, as this is an ELA conference, if you have some good advice and suggestion where public authorities should really pay attention and put their effort in helping improving job market and labor mobility. So I would ask Lars maybe to start, and I'm sure you will be speaking a lot about the opportunities, but we will gradually come also to some risks. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Slavka. Indeed, let's say, I will take the first part. Indeed, opportunities is what we consider artificial intelligence is for the EURES portal in the future. So indeed, we see a lot of chances, a lot of potential in it. I said before, data quality is a big consideration for us, where we think artificial intelligence can help us to get a better basis and to get more data in a better quality to simply produce better results for the European citizens at the very end about when the matching process is completed. But that's not all of it, so to say. We also believe with artificial intelligence there's a huge potential for efficiency gains in the process. Most of you will know that the recruitment or the matching process still is a process that involves a human intervention as well as technology. So we see that the human intervention at the moment is obviously very much occupied with providing data. So, and we see, so to say, if this part of the human intervention can be supported in a greater extent by machines with artificial intelligence, then that would leave the human intervention more for the direct interaction with the job seeker, for example, or the company or the employer, so to say, when we talk from the perspective of EURES and, for example, the EURES advisors that liaise with both of these user groups. So there's a huge potential that we see in efficiency gains. Then again, I would also like to say something about experiences that we made and risks that we naturally have to look when we implement new technology. So it is clear, so to say, that artificial intelligence is not a silver bullet that solves everything. So we need to make sure that the implementation is done in the right way. The machines and artificial intelligence also needs to be trained, and also the performance needs to be supervised, in order that we do not get results that we do not want, or simply that we get results that hamper the mandate of ELA or EURES, for example, here. So this is important. Then again, another experience that we've made is that artificial intelligence doesn't come by itself. So it's only effective when it's supported by other technologies and when it works in the combination. So these are two things. And the last point from my side, maybe we should not forget that at least from the perspective of EURES, we have a very diverse community of users. Many of them are obviously advanced in using technical applications or IT applications, but not all of them necessary. So we have to make sure that with the implementation of more AI-based features, we take everybody by the hand and do not leave some of our users out in that sense, to say it with very easy words, in order that everybody can contribute and everybody can benefit from the AI implementations. I'm a bit cautious on time. I'll stop here.
Okay, thank you very much, Lars. Stefan, you already hinted some concerns on the risk side, so maybe you can now be the second speaker to share with us more details about that.
Yes, thank you. I think first of all, yes, if the job matching is getting easier, getting more efficient, I think AI can play a role there, as other digital technologies as well. So I think that is out of question. But what we of course always think about is how you ensure also that you're not getting only the, let's kind of say, homogeneity of job seeker. So for instance, sometimes the one who maybe not fit at the first view is maybe sometimes the right applicant. That would be maybe also the answer we had in the panel before. When you get 300 CVs or 300 applications, they're all nicely written. Maybe you choose the one who's not the nicest written. Maybe sometimes it's the best guess, and that maybe is falling out a little bit because everything gets standardized. Or even if it's AI, of course, I know it's learning, you can adapt it and so on, but it's very complicated. And at the end of the day, what we know is, if you take everything, if you have the human in control, you have the human interactions with the system, I think it can work properly. However, also what we know is, if it comes to reality, if companies buying AI systems, for instance, in human resources or whatever, they want at the end of the day, they want to save money. So what they have is normally that it's not the staff who can think, oh, maybe I should adapt a little bit, maybe I shouldn't trust the outcome, maybe should question it. That what you normally should do, that you should have competences on, that simply will believe what the system is telling them. Because either there's not the time, because we talked before in the panel that we get maybe more productivity gains when we have more time for other things, But the history teaches us that normally companies taking the productivity gains around and simply cut stuff so that at the end of the day you don't have the time to question the system and work with what the AI system is sending you. And that is of course the danger what we see. And I think there are already also real examples. We have the Dutch case with the child care allowance, where there was a blind belief in what the system is telling you. We have now even, I'm not sure if the AI was involved, but we have now the case, as you know, with the British Post Office. They also heavily relied on technique and digitalization and did not questioning the results, simply believing blindly in it. And I think that is the main or one of the main dangers, that you believe so much in the outcome and not questioning it anymore, and then you're going in the wrong direction, harming maybe people before you turn around. And for me, for instance, is the question what you do when you have an HR system but is relying on AI, making the job choices or the shortlist whatsoever. And I'm as an applicant want to stress maybe fear that I'm being discriminated. What we can do nowadays, of course, you can say I'm discriminated because of gender, race, whatsoever. You didn't choose me. What is in the future? You will stay there and will say that I choose. And then you say, okay, but why did I choose it? And then even the developer can't really explain why the system chose this one and not the other one. So you see there's a lot of issues you have to at least have in mind. Nevertheless, of course, there are opportunities. And that's why we always think we have to be carefully, let's say, implement this, and you have to really regularly assess the system. Of course, you have to involve the trade unions and the workers' representatives when you're doing it, and you have to reassess it and reassess it and reassess it, because as you know, AI system is developing itself a little bit, because that's what it should do. It's training. And after some time, you're not really 100% sure if it, even at the beginning, when you implemented it, everything was fine. After maybe 2-3 years, it can't be. Maybe it have a bug in and it's not working fine anymore. And there is, of course, a lot of dangers from the biases, discrimination, and so on. So that we have to in mind. Always, when you use a technology, you shouldn't, at the end of the day, not rely always blindly on the outcome.
Okay, so we had like a quite optimistic view with following with a bit more cautious approach. Robert, from the perspective of who you represent, where do you see more of opportunities, risks, and maybe also some ideas about mobility and where to focus? Yeah?
Thanks so much, Slavka, and probably somewhere in between Lars and Stefan, I think, on opportunities and challenges or points of attention, I think, indeed. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in my first intervention about the importance of digital skills for companies, and I think a colleague from the previous panel also touched on the impact of AI, big data, and AI-related skills and competences that are needed and are coming into workplaces. And from that point of view, we do see a lot of opportunities, or we lean towards the opportunities, I would say, not only in terms of the skills aspects that workers have, but in terms of assessing and developing new skills. Also for workers, it can also be a way for workers to assess the skills they have and maybe see what gaps they have, and then identify also training opportunities. As well, I agree with Stefan. Training, as you said in your first intervention, is extremely important. I think both for workers clearly, but also on the employer side. And we do have an example of actually Microsoft and Adecco, which are two of our member companies in BusinessEurope, that are developing a AI-powered platform, which is precisely looking at these issues of how to better improve career guidance, advice, training opportunities. So this is something that we see good potential in. Equally, they're also looking at potential of mobility and cross-border mobility in terms of job matching. And I think for me, from a mobility point of view, I would fully agree with what Lars was saying in relation to Euros around the possibilities of facilitating cross-border matching through AI. I think we can broaden that out as well to the proposal the European Commission made for an EU talent pool towards the end of last year, and looking at the matching of third country nationals with job opportunities in the EU as well. That's also looking at a automated AI-oriented function to that. So I think there can be quite a few synergies there between the developments in EURES and what we hope will come also in the talent pool context. In terms of the points to be attentive to, clearly the data is important. If we're looking at job matching aspects, the data needs to be there. And indeed, you can do a matching based on CVs, on qualifications, and you can probably get indeed a number of hits, but you have to have the human dimension to a job matching, a job placement as well. You have to factor in the personality of the individual. You need to the hopes and aspirations of an individual within a job as well, which are things you can't necessarily determine through AI. And I think a last point, I think Stefan said at the end, the careful implementation and the constant sort of assessment and evaluation of how AI is being introduced and where maybe some of the sensitive points are in terms of things that can be improved and points that need to be addressed. So as I said, I think we lean towards opportunities, but of course there are a number of points of challenges, but points of attention that we need to be attentive to as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Robert. So now I'm turning to Maria Cristina, who could also tell us more about maybe these risks related to implementation and updates, and or more broadly on covering the question. So please.
Yes, thank you, Lucca. Yes, well, since I'm working on it, it's clear that I believe in the possibility of implementing AI technique in a way it can support public employment system, but nevertheless, there are issues that must be considered. Many of them have already been mentioned by my colleague here, but maybe I can list also more from a more technical point of view. For example, they were speaking about data. You need large data set to build machine learning models and AI techniques because they learn from the data you provide. So the more data you have, the more information, the more complex pattern they are able to get from them. So this is a point, but another point, if we want to make like a list, there is the need to recalibrate model. You cannot estimate a model and then leave it here doing nothing. The model must be recalibrated, must be re-estimated, since we know that labor market is not a static environment. Things change, and the model must be recalibrated as new data become available. This is fundamental, otherwise we will not able to include such changes. Moreover, I spoke before about the need to include individual preferences in the suggestion, because of course they are fundamental. And in that context, we need to highlight the important role played by the caseworkers, since are them that should elicit and also guide individuals in their aspiration. They should be able to put their preferences in a way that we can include in the model, so the match will be not only feasible but also appreciated. And another problem I was mentioning, since we are really doing a list, okay, is the congestion. Pointing every individual to the easier occupation to be reached is not optimal, is not efficient. We need also to have like a more even distribution of the occupation suggested, because otherwise, if you point every individual on a single occupation, you will saturate the market, and their request to find a job will be not fulfilled. So there are a lot of stuff to be considered when planning to implement this model. Yes. All this said, of course, I'm more on the optimistic side, even though now I just listed a lot of problems to be considered, because yes, I'm optimistic, but we should not close an eye or two on the problems that are present. They must be assessed, considered, in order to exploit to the maximum this instrument in the fairest way as possible.
Well, thank you very much. So I would, in a simple way, conclude that basically you are telling us that let's implement AI, but with a lot of human intervention to make sure that it really works.
It's necessary.
Let's move now to Matias. You please also share your perspective, either from already some lessons learned from your solution or more broadly on your expert knowledge. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Well, I have done a lot of recruiting in my previous positions, and one of the things I've noticed often is that job seekers have difficulties in describing their skills, what they know. And I think that's one of the benefits the AI can help a lot about helping job seekers to recognize the skills they have and also to describe the skills they have and how the skills fit for the open job posting. Stefan here said about the homogeneous candidates, but I think that when you can use the AI in competence recognition, you can get the true potential out of the job seekers. So you can make the job seekers be the best themselves as they can when they are applying for the position. But then you come also to the other side. I think many of you who have done recruiting, you may have a really good candidate on paper, but that was not the one who signed the job contract. So we can use the AI in competence recognition. We can use the AI in the matching, but often the recruitment processes still need. They may be tests. They may be psychological tests. They may be one or several rounds of interviews, which is human interaction between the candidate and the employer. And that's something that at the moment I don't know if AI can be part of it. It's between the humans at the moment. So AI has its potentials in helping the candidates recognize the competence so they can give out the true potential. But then in the end, it's still between the humans to get the job contract signed.
No, thank you very much. So still these soft skills that AI cannot really replace them. Yeah. So now let's turn also looking on the time. We still have some time for questions. So please, you can start thinking about having ready your questions. But let's turn me to Dimitrios. Also, you told us a lot about where AI is already used currently. What are your lessons learned? What are your takes about the risks and opportunities?
Thank you, Slavka. Yes, indeed. So, as previous speaker said, there are the opportunities and there are the risks. In our field, for example, in ESCO, we have seen already that we can have more frequent updates. This is very important because the manual work that we used to do a few years ago cannot always keep up with the pace of the labor market. There are things happening out there in the real world, and they are not waiting for us. So AI can speed up the gathering and analysis of data. And it can also contribute to accuracy because like that we can follow more accurately the evolution of the labor market, where we have new jobs and new skills appearing. For example, all the jobs and skills related to the blockchain in the recent years. So it is very useful to have AI models that can detect those new concepts from CVs, job vacancies, reports, etc. But we always need to ensure quality assurance. So there is always the need for the human experts to check the results of the work of AI, even to recalibrate the models. We always need the human in the loop. In what we do in Europass, which also benefits from the work that we do in ESCO. But there, the opportunity is for Europass to be more tailored to user needs. So again, here I see that we kind of all agree. We need to pay attention to the individual needs of each user, each job seeker and learner, through the more global and accurate analysis of their skills, their interests, at the end of the day, their needs. Therefore, to allow job seekers to identify their needs for reskilling, for upskilling, and also to find job opportunities that reflect more their skills and needs. And in turn, this will also allow employers to find better candidates for their job offers. So overall, such best profile reflections and candidates should contribute to an increased labor mobility through the better matchings between the two sides of the labor market and through a better reskilling and upskilling of job seekers, because at the end of the day, they're also learners. They need to see what they need to learn, what kind of skills are more needed in what they're doing, or what skills are needed in another domain where they would like to move. So overall, AI can support the aim that we have, for example, in Europe, is to allow access of all people in Europe to all opportunities for learning and working. Limitations, of course. There are limitations. What I see is that, and we face it in our work, and we hear and discuss this with our stakeholders, is that online data, for example, online job vacancies, are not always representative of the entire labor market, because not all jobs are advertised. And not all job seekers. So this in turn creates the risk.
The Zoom is not join the audio for the speaker.
But the speaker cannot see the room.
And the video. The only problem is now is that the video.
Can you hear me? Because I hear some other people.
I guess we can continue.
Right?
Speakers can't see us. Yeah.
Okay. I have talked with Diego.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Now
This
we
is
don't
a
hear
video.
Dimitris.
This is another speaker.
Sorry, you have.
Okay. No, it's fine now.
Okay, thank you. So, not all data can, that we find, like online job vacancies online, are representative of the labor market, because not everybody uses digital tools to find a job or to find courses to reskill and upskill, and not all jobs are advertised online. So this creates the risk that those jobs and their job seekers may lag behind in the digital labor market, because AI may not work for them. So this could be addressed by focusing more on increased cooperation and interaction with organizations representing such users for more data concerning them, so that Europe as a platform can become more tailored to their needs. And of course, we would need more targeted communication campaigns to approach those users and the relevant stakeholders to increase usage and acceptance by job seekers, but also by employers. We need employers to accept what we do, which will help to create and make available a critical mass with data coming from such users. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And now let's turn to the audience for questions. And I don't know if we have some also online, maybe. Yeah, please. Can we have the microphone?
Thank you for the panel, for this discussion. It was very interesting. I actually had a curiosity for Matias and Lars regarding the employee-to-employee matching. I was wondering if you had implemented or thought of implementing anything to automatically detect person skills based, for example, from LinkedIn or other accounts. So it might be easier just to translate to another platform, because that'd make it easier for people to actually translate their skills to a new platform. And also, if you have anything in place to actually get feedback, so when a person actually signs the contract, if the model gets this information, so it can actually be trained on actual signed contracts, and if actually also receive contract from the employer, so yes, this worker was actually interesting, useful for our companies, and so the model gets better and better.
Yeah, thank you. Good questions. So far, we are just piloting about importing the job applicant profiles from other platforms. So we don't have yet the connection, for example, to LinkedIn. We also, this year, we are going to introduce the CV drag and drop. So if you have already created a CV of yourself, you can drag and drop it to the applicant profile, and it uses to do the basics about the profile. So you can then add more about the categories that we ask from the job seeker. About the second question. It's a good question. It's one of our challenges because we, like I said in my previous comment, the job seeker applies the way it's described in the job posting, so it doesn't actually applying the job doesn't happen by the job market Finland. It may be in the company's own HR system or just by email. So that's where we lack. We don't get the feedback we need. We need that data to improve our matching algorithm. And this AI algorithm that we have at the moment between the employer and the job seeker, we are reforming the digital services in Finnish public employment services, and we are going to introduce these AI solutions also in the public employment services software which counselors use. So when they open a registered job seeker's profile, they can use the AI-powered matching to find potential job positions, and otherwise, when they give services to the employers, they can use the AI matching to get potential job candidates. But it's coming up in about 2 years, so then we will get the data we need and to improve the matching algorithm.
Thank you very much, and also from my side, thanks for these two good questions. For the first one, at the moment, so to say, we are setting the agenda for strategic cooperations. So you asked specifically about LinkedIn. Yes, this could be a potential cooperation partner in the future. But as I said, we have our digital strategy for the portal just concluded. And as much as there are synergies included, we will attempt them. We will look out to build those collaborations because we also think they are very useful. But at the moment, this is not yet in place. So in the portal. For the second question that you asked about the dialogue between the job seeker and the employer about the signature of the contract, if I understood that well. This is for data protection reasons also not monitored at the moment in the portal. So this happens between those two parties. We provide, so to say, the technology for the job finding, and then, as you said about the contract signature actually as an event, which closes the job searching process, we don't include that in the portal at present. So that's my feedback.
Okay, no, thank you very much. It seems like in the interest of time, we would need to close this. I wanted to give one opportunity to online participants. There is a question, but those who are in the room, you still can approach our panelists during the lunch break or later this afternoon. So I'm very sorry if we have to keep the schedule. I was asked to close this discussion. So let me thank you to all of you for really great insights into AI applications and also giving us really a good picture on that it can really help. It can improve labor mobility. It has to be implemented with caution, with a lot of human contribution into it, but it's still not guaranteeing for anybody to getting actually the job. Yeah. So still the soft skills and the human contact stays there. So with this, thanks a lot, and we will close this discussion and then continue, I'm sure, in the follow-up informal conversations. But if you can please sit for a second. Yes.